Hi, everyone. Welcome to the virtual tour of intentional communities. Really glad that you're here joining us today. My name is Cynthia. For those of you who haven't connected with me before, I'm going to be the host for today's session. And I live in Vermont, very snowy Vermont day today, at a small eco-village here. So I live in an intentional community, and I'm very fortunate that I get to travel and visit communities and help people find them, help new communities get started. This has been my passion for over a decade, and really happy to be hosting these virtual tour events where every month on the first Thursday of the month, we get an opportunity to sit down with three unique communities from, especially today, different corners of the world, to find out what's happening there and feel more connected to this broader movement of intentional communities. So we are in December 2023, and this month for our virtual tour of intentional communities, we have three communities all outside of the United States. So this is definitely our international edition. I think we've had a theme these recent months of more international communities. And that was a request we got from all of you, our audience. So feel free if you have more recommendations for communities that you want to see or parts of the world that you're curious about, and we can try to curate those communities. So today we have Greek Village Co-Housing, and that's Pare with us, who's been on with us in the past, but I think a while ago. So it's really good to get an update on the progress with this newer community. And then we have, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce this correctly, but Umphakatsi Peace Ecovillage in South Africa. And Sarah will correct my pronunciation, and I'm really excited to learn about the work that Sarah's doing down there in South Africa. And then Tierramor in Costa Rica. And we have Matt with us to share about this community in Costa Rica. This event is now a co-production of the FIC, the Foundation for Intentional Community, and also an organization that I run called Community Finders, which is specifically supporting people in their journey to find communities to join. And we're also beginning to create programs for not only community finders, but also community founders who are starting new communities. This event is actually a piece of the program that we have at Community Finders, the Community Finders Circle, which is an ongoing membership program. And there's the website. You can learn more about all of our programs and offerings. And for FIC, we are coming in towards the end of the year. This is definitely the season of giving and gratitude. And FIC is a nonprofit organization that's been around for over 40 years, supporting the movement of intentional communities. So really encourage, if you feel inspired and you have the resources, to make a donation of any amount to support this great organization. And we will start with Pare at Greek Village Co-Housing. And Pare, really good to see you again.
Thanks to see
Thank
you.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time to do this. I know you're in the middle of moving, so I really appreciate it.
Yes. You know, I have to say the background here is quite plain, and that is because it's moving day for me. The moving van came, and I'm off to a new adventure living in Greece. And I want to give a shout out to Cynthia and all the folks at IC.org, because I began this journey 2.5 years ago to found Greek Village Co-Housing. And the courses at IC are just so helpful for people who are interested in founding communities. I love Laird's courses. I started with Jana Ludwig's class. There's really not a class there that I wouldn't love to take. And I got to know Cynthia over the last several years even more, and love her events because there's really nobody doing what Cynthia does. I hope, Cynthia, you do one of those matchmaking events again next year. I thought that was really fun, kind of like dating for community. It's really fun. So we are in Greece. We are a forming community, and even though we're a forming community, we are moving super fast. Usually in the United States and in most places, it takes years and years to from the beginning of foundation until move-in. And it looks like we're moving a little faster. We will break ground next year. Our design is almost 100% complete and our building permit. And we've gathered this wonderful core group from around the world to live in this beautiful mountain agrihood. So here we are standing on the land. We'll have to buzz back in and out of it being large because I want to move around in this slideshow. But I wanted to give you a feel for who we are. I think we are going to be one of the more international communities in the world, although I think Costa Rica and the Ecovillage in Africa will be quite international as well. And I think that's a trend. I think that's a trend that I'm really excited. I would love to visit these two other communities. And I'm really excited about this new horizon where people are choosing what country they want to live in more because of the availability of remote work. And our community will have people that work locally in the wellness and all sorts of other fields, but we will have a large remote working community and a absolutely beautiful co-working space with a view of these mountains and a pool right outside and meeting rooms and soundproof Zoom rooms and really strong Wi-Fi. So we are going to be, I think, the first co-housing common house with dedicated co-working spaces beyond our library and other places. So that's a kind of exciting thing about our community. Another really exciting thing about our community, at least for some people, is the possibility to get EU permanent residency. Everyone who is not an EU citizen or resident and not a Greek resident or citizen will end up with permanent residency in Europe. And that really opens up lots of doors to universities and all sorts of other things that don't really have to do with our community, but certainly an added incentive. So we are in an area that is absolutely surrounded by other beautiful, beautiful villages. And we take our inspiration from these villages. We incorporate the Danish co-housing tradition of intentional community and shared vision and values together with the Greek village mentality. And that's everywhere around us. We do, like other co-housing communities, use non-hierarchical governance and decision-making. And we do have the special architectural features of co-housing. But we also have features of Greek villages. Here's some examples of co-housing communities so that you can get a feel for the difference between co-housing and some of the other intentional communities. Tierramor, is that an eco-village or an eco-village co-housing? I'm curious. Tierramor, is it co-housing or an eco-village or both?
Yeah, I'll get into that in my presentation. It's a rather long answer.
Okay, well, I don't know what the title is, but historically, there's been some distance between the two, but not a lot. And in Europe, especially, the distance has really collided. And co-housing and eco-village are very similar concepts. But the organizing principle of eco-villages, first and foremost, is living sustainably, having a higher quality, lower footprint lifestyle. And co-housing, the initial organizing principle is community, having a strong, supportive, thriving community that on a routine basis takes training courses in things like sociocracy and nonviolent communication and empathetic listening, so that the community thrives socially, because we believe that if it's not thriving socially, then people leave, regardless of how sustainably you're living. But as I said, that's really merged over the years, and there's great synergies. We are not, however, co-living, although people do co-live in our community, and we are not legally a cooperative, and we are not a commune because we don't share income. So that's some of the differences from our community and other intentional communities. In general, co-housing has some similar architectural features all around the world. There are no cars in co-housing, so that when you walk out your door, you can see people right outside your door and connect with them very easily. And that's not so different from Greek villages. So we will have a very traditional Greek village look to us rather than a US look. And our houses will be formed around our really beautiful common house, just like every place else in the world. And our cars will be on the periphery. And our social design will also be traditionally co-housing. We are using sociocracy, and we use SOFA, Sociocracy for All, for our training, but we also have lots of classes through IC that inform. Laird Schaub's classes are great no matter what kind of governance you use, and so many others. So we'll be training over the next year with our newest members. We also participate in the community in actually designing it together. That is something that's different about communities that are truly built by the neighbors and not by a developer. It makes a huge difference in your sense of belonging if you are the author of your own village. It just is a phenomenal sense of belonging and meaning and legacy. I mean, that's really what it's come down to for me at this stage in my life. This is my last big thing, and I'm hoping it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And certainly right now, I'm really so happy with how it's turned out. Here we are working together on our common house, which is now finished. And here we are with wonderful Rains Cohen, a wonderful professional that helps with senior co-housing planning, aging in place in co-housing. We are multi-generational, and we are really excited about the experience of having kids in this absolutely beautiful natural agrihood. And we will be cooking and eating together in our common house several times a week. Let me tell you a little bit about our location, and then I will take any questions or just let you, Cynthia, take it away. We are located in Peloponnesos, which is an area that is adjacent to the mainland. And so unlike the islands, we will be able to get in our car and just drive right into Europe or drive to Athens and take a flight. So it's very convenient, and it's right down the street from this absolutely beautiful fishing village of Yithio. And there are beaches on either side of Yithio that are just stunning. And we are in the mountains in an agrihood area that is, let's see if I can find it, that is just breathtakingly beautiful. You can hear the sound of the sheep, and you can smell the oregano and thyme in the air. And in the winter, the snow caps are there, giving us ample water. All of that is a national forest as far as the eye can see. Our homes will be built around the common house, and this is our plot. It's already prepared to build on, and we have our building permit. We are surrounded by 70,000 edible plants that the developer and his father and his grandfather built. So literally everywhere we walk, there's something to eat right off the trees. And it's just a beautiful place to be. As I mentioned, we live in all over the world, and we come together every couple of months to gather in Greece together. And this next visit is in February. So what people do if they're interested is they go to our website, and there's a questionnaire on their website that they can take, and that will help them determine if this particular community is for them. And if it is, then they can come to one of our meetings and visit us, and then maybe even come to one of our trips to Greece. Thanks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Pare. Really great to see
pleasure.
all of the progress that's being made, and just exciting that you're actually at the moment of you're going to be moving over there.
It really is. They've already broken ground on our sports facilities. We're going to have a soccer field and a basketball court and huge gardens and a pool, and they've already broken ground on that. So I'll be able to now be there when they start building in 2024. So it's going to be really fun.
Amazing. Good. Well, folks, please put any questions you have for Pare into the Q&A box, if you can do that for me. And yes, the recording will be sent to everyone who registered. You'll get a link to the recording in the email, in an email after it's been uploaded. All right, so we did have a question from Melissa. And it looks like Melissa is in Philadelphia and considering either joining or starting an Ecovillage.
Cool.
That's cool. Yeah. They want to learn more about educational outreach components from Ecovillages working in community and development partnerships. So I know that you are doing so much.
We have a partner. Yeah, we have a partnership with a very exciting community called Erasmus. If anyone has lived in Europe, they know what Erasmus is. All you have to do is Google it. It's really an incredible organization. And there's a organization in Thessaloniki, Greece, that got a grant. And they're going to be working with us on several of our goals, our inclusion and diversity goals. And I'm really excited about that. This is the first co-housing community in Greece, and we are garnering enormous attention. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs invited me during the last visit and sat down with us for an hour, and they want to come visit in February. So somebody from the ministry is going to come visit. And so it's very exciting. The Greeks love Village. So it's a place where everybody understands you. It's a friendly country, and it's a great location because you can just easily go to North Africa, go to any other, European country. So it's a community within a community within a community. So I love that.
Yes. Can you tell us about the weather year-round?
Yes, the weather year-round is, for me, nirvana. We will be having mostly an outdoor lifestyle, and we have a platea that's planned with a beautiful place to dance, and we'll have an outdoor kitchen there, and we'll be cooking and eating and having delicious Greek food year-round. It does get cool. We're about, 350. My measurement skills are poor. We are a low mountain, so there's no snow where we are. And it does not get cold enough for a heavy winter coat. But in the winter, it does get cool for a light jacket. So it's great hiking weather, and we're right on miles of hiking trails. But in the summer and then the rest of the year, it's warm, just like the rest of Greece. It gets very warm in the summer of August, July. But we've got a pool, and we go right down to the beach. So
Nice. Great. Is there the possibility to come visit or for a week or so?
We are a forming community that has not built yet. And because we're an intentional community, it's all about us and not really about the land. As much as I've been going on and on about our farm, we have a farm and a vineyard and an olive orchard and a place to do yoga that's really high. The location is great, but it's about the people. So what we do is we have you become an Explorer member for 3 months, and you are on Zoom with us, working in our circles. You have transparent access to all of our materials, and you get to shape the village with us. And as we get to know you and you get to know us, it becomes clear for you whether this is a good fit. And it's a mutual experience of getting to know each other and shaping the community together. And once you've done that, then we visit the land together with you. And that's when you visit. We do have visits for people who are not members, but they are pretty cursory because what we're looking for is people to invest in us as a group. It's all about the connections and the relationships between the people, because we plan to mutually support each other and be there for each other. We also highly value our private lives, and we have private spaces and private lives. But you probably won't be interested in us if you don't love community and doing things together, having celebrations and cooking and eating together.
Great answer.
Thanks.
So for becoming a member, that information is on the website, including the costs to build a home in the community.
Yes, no reason to hide it. I think that we are one of the more affordable places, but it's Europe, and you get the benefits, but also the cost of construction in Europe. So our houses run from 200 euro to 500 euro. And we have 1 bedroom to 3 bedroom units. Our common house, oops, so sorry, I'm moving, and so I've got all sorts of people calling. Our common house will be absolutely huge. That is, sorry about that. Our common house will be huge. So what we're looking for is people who want slightly smaller footprints to their homes so we can live more sustainably. We have solar, we have gray water and black water systems. We plan to try to live as sustainably as we can afford to, basically.
Yeah. Okay, great. Good. Well, there's a lot more questions in the Q&A box for you. I'm just thinking about which would be most
200,000. Yes. Thank you so much, Rains. Oh,
yeah,
thank you, Rains. I didn't know you were there.
Yeah.
Everybody can ask Rains about us. He is completely informed, and everybody should really pay attention to the classes he gives and to the wonderful senior co-housing consultation he gives. I plan to have a empowered learning circle with Rains when we get a little larger and start working through the multi-generational needs and making sure that they're there for us. So
right. Great. Oh, good. Yay. Hi, Rains. So glad you're here. And that answered, yes, multi-generational community, planning for different ages.
And 200,000 to 500,000 euro for our homes. And that is also the price of the land and your percentage of the common house. It is the total price of everything.
Will there be a number of hours for work requirement, like volunteering?
Co-housing, again, is a real balance of privacy and community. So, eating and cooking together is not absolutely mandatory, but it's about a social commitment to community. So we do commit to each other that we will help manage our community together. And we do make our policies together. And one of them is what we call our community contribution policy. Measuring contribution by hours is never that useful. As you know, something you think will take an hour takes 8, and other things that you think will take 8 will take 1. So right now we have a policy that is sociocratic, which means it could be tweaked and changed easily every couple of months as we bring it up for review. And it is 8 hours a month. So a couple of hours a week, you'll either be cooking or cleaning or gardening or watching the kids. And right now, you'll be working on the membership outreach events. You'll be, we're just finishing the floor plans of the private homes. We are planning the gardens. We're doing a bunch of things. So those 2 hours will be put to good use.
Nice. Fantastic. Okay, well, there are a lot more questions in the Q&A box, so I know you're short on time today, but Pare, if you have a moment just to go through there and answer any ones that you feel aren't available on the website.
I'm glad that Melissa knows Erasmus, because it is really something special. We're getting partnership and attention from really the top coolest people and organizations in Greece because we're the first one. So I have a lot of pressure on my shoulders to make this a perfect community.
Oh.
And it also means that we have just really cool, interesting people. We had Spiros Kouvelis, who is a real famous environmentalist who's been in multiple very high leadership positions in Greece and in Europe, in the EU, who is a strong supporter. We have a former ambassador to Greece from Canada who's on our advisory board. So yeah, let's see what else. Yes,
I meant though, typing the answers in.
My apologies.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you, Cynthia.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. You're on a roll, and just so we can feel the enthusiasm of this project really coming into the fruition phase and all the energy behind it. So just blessings on the project.
Thank you, Cynthia. Same to you.
Yeah, have a safe move too. Yeah.
Smooth. I'll finish up these questions and then I'll have to say goodbye because I'm going to go and sell my car.
Yeah, that's important. Good. Thank you so much. Bye. Great. Okay. Wow. Now we're in Greece. Now we're going to travel further south to the continent of Africa. Sarah, welcome. I'm really looking forward to learning about your Ecovillage and yourself and your work.
Hello, everyone. This village is called Umphakatsi Peace Ecovillage. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Cynthia, and your community to invite me to present and share with everyone present today the work that we've been doing since 2005. The photo you see is in part what type of infrastructure exists in the village. Before 2005, there was nothing there. It was a mountain. As you look beyond the two huts, there is like an edge of mountain. It's a range of mountains, which is a source of our stream of water. It tends to be a waterfall when the stream emerges, and as it comes along at the bottom where these huts are, it's our source of water. We have about 7 of these structures in the Ecovillage. It was set up in 2005 because we saw that in South Africa, the democracy that we had been promised was not materializing in terms of transitioning the country, across racial lines, across the economic divides, and across the architecture. I'll talk more about this architecture. So we started with kids, actually, about 13 children started to vision this community out of the already developed areas. So simple things like building roads that go to the village, we had to do by hands with the kids. By that time, my father was still alive, so he was a farmer and a chairperson for a local co-op. This village is located next to a country of Eswatini, Swaziland. It's about 17 kilometers to the borders of Swaziland. It's in the eastern part of South Africa. And the province, we have 9 provinces. Maybe in other countries, they call them regions. But we have provinces, then we have districts, and then we have municipalities. So, but from the national map, it starts as a country, then it turns into provinces. So this province is called Mpumalanga. and which means in Siswati, a place where the sun rises. I want to move to the next slide, Chair. Maybe I just need to scroll. So, so my presentation deals a bit about the vision and the mission of the project, and it goes to the principles and values. I've just mentioned quite a few. Then the programs that we have and services, and you'll see some photos as a representation of the work, some few testimonials, and our contact. So in 2013, we were certified by the Gaia Education Curriculum Program of the Global Ecovillage Network International to sort of be a center that provides sustainable education for the future using the Ecovillage Design Education Program. We were also fortunate before this time that we got noticed via our social media, footprint by people from all over the world, that we were then invited to participate in an Ecovillage design education program in Siebenlinden in Germany in 2011, which then following that, so I became a certified GIZ educator, which is a global education network for people who are teaching sustainable education. And our Ecovillage follows this Ecovillage Mandala, which is a summary of the Ecovillage Design Education training program. I'm sure if some of you have been through the program, you might be familiar with this image. So we like the Ecovillage Design Program because it encompasses who we are. It found us already, working with the different components of the Ecovillage Design Education, which is the local economies, the world view, the social component, and the ecological component. So the word Umphakatsi, which is the name of our Ecovillage, it means communities. It's a Swati word. In South Africa, we have now 13 official languages. So the Siswati is one of the languages that are spoken in the province where I live. It means community. So the project is about coexisting with each other harmoniously and with no sense of discriminating each other on the basis of our colors or sexual orientation. So it's a vision of an integrated society where the young learn from the old and the old learn from the old learn from the young. And the different identities or abilities that are in the community, they are sort of promoted and seen as a strength other than a point of conflict. What we also saw as a motivation to start the village was this huge movement of people to cities, to urbanized areas, and living these, beautiful landscapes that are clean, untouched, clean by all means, no pollution, no dump sites, but also we saw there's lots of opportunities in the environment that is there, and saw that it's an opportunity to advocate and live an experience of reversing, rural-urban migration. In a sense that we call our project an urban-rural migration project, where we're reversing the migration to the cities. We also learned that, which became our main focus, is that the cities as they are today, by 1895, only 5% of our population globally were living in small, holder settlements, taking care of themselves using the immediate environment, which managed to sustain them. And rapidly, it's less than 150 years, almost 60% of our global population now lives in cities. So that becomes our motivation to start the village. So we vision, for example, a world where holistic healing and participation for members as a community is a lived experience, other than just something that stays in visions. But we consider ourselves as a living and a learning center where holistically we participate in healing ourselves, using indigenous knowledge systems that are positive, because not everything in all paradigms is positive. It has its own negativities. So we only take the positive from any school of or any philosophy. So our principles are very simple. It's honesty, inclusiveness, solidarity, transparency, care for the earth and the people, good governance, equal opportunity, justice for all, unity in diversity, and faith in the inherent goodwill of humankind. In that way, building capacities for individuals to sustain themselves and their families economically, and otherwise. So there's the programs that manifest all what I've just shared. On the social component, we have a high level of gender-based violence in South Africa, and we have lots of PhDs that can tell you more about patriarchy and the manifestation of violence. But we learned that people don't know how to love, and we have started a program called the School of Love. We were also inspired through this journey by an opportunity to experience a Tamera healing biotope in Portugal, where we also spent some time there, and we learned about the School of Love program. It inspired us that in South Africa we can also teach love and coexistence between partners and families. And we know that historically Africans and other cultures have been polygamous, or sometimes polyamorous, meaning that female can have many partners as males, and similarly males can have many partners. So we're restoring sort of that culture of understanding, because with the monogamous situation, there's lots of challenges in the context of gender-based violence, where there's lots of cheating, a lot of dishonesty as well, because the way in which the situation or love is experienced and managed, it's based on values of dishonesty, trust, materialism, the culture of money, transactional relations, which are not organic and indigenous. So we're restoring that through the School of Love and counteracting the narrative of gender-based violence. Then we have regular programs where we bring people through short-term inductions on eco-villages, those that want to set up their own eco-villages or join our eco-village. We run these programs maybe for a week and continue mentor the people online or face-to-face if we have an opportunity. We were fortunate to be funded by one of the German organizations to, I think it's the German Foreign Ministry, to do a full-scale EDE in my Ecovillage, which then gave the endorsement in 2013. So we trained, I think in some of the photographs, we trained 30 women from Africa and some were from Europe on the Ecovillage Design Education Program. Some were already living in their own eco-villages. It was part of the learning exchange, but others were sort of new and they left to start their own eco-villages in the different parts of Africa. We also have weekend retreats to give people an experience of what it means to be in an eco-village. And in that we do indigenous tours for indigenous medicinal plants, and which includes also meeting the elders of the village of the neighboring villages and share stories that the youth or any person today may not have privilege to hear how life was before the so-called the modern era, which we think is not modern the way we live. That's why we had to bring back the eco-village, which is the eco-village in Africa or in most African countries is the way in which communities lived before the so-called civilization of this era. We have ancient civilizations of, for example, Kemet, Egypt, which were more advanced even than this civilization, and they were good in their own terms. So we bringing back that was done, which was positive. And we also have programs such as human rights education. I'm a scholar in human rights, so it's always important to infuse that language, which is actually what Ecovillage is about. They're about respecting people's dignity. They don't about being non-discriminatory, and employ principles of equality and equity. We have a lot of cultural heritage sites in South Africa. Some are still being discovered. Recently, UNESCO declared a site in next to my Ecovillage as having the oldest geological structures on Earth in 2018. So if you can go to the UNESCO heritage site, UNESCO website, you can see in South Africa, the 10th heritage site, there's now 10 of them. So they say this is the oldest, having 4.6 billion years old rocks. I've touched on indigenous knowledge and then plants which are being used for medicine, but also my screen has moved quite. So this is a bit of the gallery. I have a slide which is not coming clearly. It talks about the products that we have, which normally are made of natural they are made of natural items which we find in nature, such as aloe, which is in abundance, marula, and clay, which we use for building and making accessories. We also have organic produce from the farm, which is an extension of the Ecovillage, where the local village, which is the neighboring village also, we use products that they produce and we trade with them. So this is some of the work that has been going in the village, including bricks made of clay, some volunteers. We have a program for, we call it cultural exchange, where we bring people from all over the world to come see what we do. But we call it an exchange. They come learn, and we also travel to learn from them. We've been to Australia in the Crystal Waters Ecovillage. We've been to Senegal. We've been to Egypt in Sechem. I've mentioned Tamera. I've mentioned Siebenlinden. We also, have, a nursery where we grow plants such as moringa. Still, this is part of our work, though the images are not coming clearly. They take a bit of time. I think it's the network. So this is the landscape across the village. The photo at the bottom with the group, we were also in Ghana Permaculture Institute. We visited for an exchange, learning from them. These are some of the testimonials. I think it come clearly as the screen takes time to reflect. But one testimony or two is that I worked averagely, this is a testimony number 2 from an exchange program volunteer. I worked for averagely 4 hours a day. I was able to help in doing a variety of things which were educational and great. I helped digging a pipe, painted some of the hearts, helped cooking sometimes. We built a compost toilet together. The compost toilet built in 2009 has been full, and a new makeshift was being done. I was fortunate to arrive with the founder. I'm the founder of the village. So who brought 3 or other volunteers along. The other volunteers stayed for a week. I truly learned a lot being there and helping. The area is amazing and still natural. Every day I was blown away. Anyway, I can share this presentation. But this is who we are, more testimonials. And at the end, this is our context. Thank you so much, Cynthia, Pe, and Matt, and the audience behind the scenes.
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing with us. It was really great to hear about your work, and I feel like I don't know, I've been transported a little bit to your world, and just the context of where you're living, and the land, and the social factors, economic factors. Really, really impressive what you've been creating. And definitely I'm going to take like a little shot there of your contact information just to stay in touch and follow along. It looks like the Facebook page is a good way to follow up with your work and see the progress. Yeah, great. So questions, please put them in the Q&A box or in the chat, but preferably in the Q&A box just so I can stay organized. And Pari is asking, we'd love to visit. Can we come visit? Is that a possibility?
Yes, we are also registered on HelpX, which is some kind of a WWOOFers global network. So our information is there too, and I've blown it on the screen. Over the years, we have then started to screen some of the people that come and visit us, as quite often, sometimes because of the environment where we come from. I mean, I think it's some kind of a global, practice where values are so inhuman and sometimes challenging to cooperate where competition has been the norm in which we are raised. So there's an application process to volunteer, and then we'll screen and then select those that qualify. It's not our intention to exclude everybody, but it becomes a challenge to us because we are not a profit-driven community, which is different from any place where you can go pay big amounts and then you behave the way you want. So it's a community based on respect for values of nature. If we separate waste, you find other guests are not used to that, and they always break the rules, simple rules of just cleaning after themselves and expecting that we do work for them. So it becomes then difficult to welcome everyone who 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 then may not be willing to cooperate. We always value respect and solidarity, working from the heart and caring for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So that sometimes becomes difficult for people to come stay with us. I must put that up front. But everybody is welcome. And it's their behavior, as I think the previous speaker said, that will then judge if you, though they gave 3 months to their own, I think it's those that want to come and join. But even for us, the guests, we sort of screen them as to how much work, because even staying with us as a guest, we charge a very minimum of, it's like for running the gas and buying items we cannot afford. I think for European visitors, it's per day, it's either 10 euros or 6 euro per day. And that's what we can pay. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you for your honesty too. I think that's yeah, that's the reality of wanting to welcome people so long as they can be respectful and follow the rules and the values. So, yeah, appreciate that. I also really loved hearing your connection with communities around the world with Zeben Linden and Tamara and Crystal Waters in Australia. Just really incredible to see that network of support among the larger eco-villages. Wow, fantastic. Okay, great. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, really appreciate your sharing with us. And it looks like it might be in the evening there. So I appreciate you staying up a little later to share as well. Great. Okay, and now we will go. Yes, thank you. Now we will go to Matt. Thank you so much, Matt, for your patience. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your project in Costa Rica. And of course, soon in January, I'll be visiting on the Ecovillage tour. So this is like, okay, this is a warm up for me and really looking forward to it. And here I'll
Yeah, very
just,
excited to host you. It's going to be exciting.
yeah, definitely. Here, let me get the participant share going. If you want to try sharing your screen.
Yeah. I need to stop sharing my screen.
Yep, I think you're good. Looks
Is that
like,
good?
yep, perfect.
Okay. So my name's Matt. I'm the founder of Tierramor. I am a student of intentional community for over a decade. I lived in multiple, including Tamara, for over 6 months. That's where I met the mother of my kids. And I lived in a community called Schloss Blumenthal in Germany. That's where my oldest was born. And I lived in Pachamama here in Costa Rica, off and on for 3 years. And eventually realized I had to start my own because of just how much I'd learned in my travels around the world in permaculture and community, and knowing that that more beautiful world is possible. So I decided to embark on it myself and plant the flag. So here's a little bit of just like a warm up into what it is that we're up to and why we're doing this. Tierramor was founded because we are at a turning point as a collective, and we need physical living labs where we are playing, where we are creating, where we are building that more beautiful world we know is possible. We have three pillars. We have ascension, descension, and regeneration. When we're descending, we're moving into form, we're moving into relationship. When we're ascending, we're moving into connection with our higher selves, and we're letting go of all of that physicality, all of that form. And when we're coming in contact with nature via the regenerative pole, we are healing our separation from the physical world. There is a saying, the next Buddha will be a Sangha. It's going to take a tribe to actually deliver that more beautiful world. We are intentionally infusing into our culture practice, shared practice, via contact with our authentic selves. Those practices bind us together as a tribe. When we're connecting really with our authentic selves and we're connecting with the other person, we also desire to connect with nature in a deeper way. And for us, that looks like the regenerative pole, agroforestry. It looks like syntropic agriculture. It looks like silvopasture, both very, very old and also very new technologies that we're implementing to increase our connection with nature. So in phase 0, which is what we're up to right now, we are really, first and foremost, actually listening to the land. What does the land want here? We're building agroforestry systems. We're doing our first community immersion. We're having our first retreats. We're really starting to embody that culture that we want to see in the longer term. As we move into phase 1, we're building infrastructure to enhance our connection. Our Maloka, where we share ritual, where we share daily practice, as well as our Dissension Temple, where we are sharing bigger events to become in contact with ourselves, other, and the greater community. When phase 1 is complete, we envision a community which is connected and which is vibrant and which is in connection with themselves, with the other, and with nature. We envision a future where abundance is our natural state, and Tierramor is a beacon of that abundance, where one can walk from point A to point B and just feel fed and actually be fed by the things that are growing around them everywhere. We believe that from that place of abundance, that physical abundance that's waiting to be unlocked, we will unlock the gift economy, the gift world, the gift way of living. All right, let's see if we can move on to the next slide here. All right. So here's a slide from the first center that we're creating. This is like an overview of our regenerative space, including this is something that we've recently, in just the last year and a half, redone the landscape here so that it's a water landscape, and it's also a syntropic agroforestry system, which eventually will have animals built in for silvopasture as well. And here, this is something that was just recently created only a few months ago. That's our first, what we call our SAF or Ohoche agroforestry system. And this is our casitas, and at the top of the hill, that's where the Maloka will be. This is our temple and our dining hall and annual garden there. But again, this is all part of the regenerative pole, which is one area on 500 acres. So eventually we'll have 3. We'll have one dedicated to regeneration, one to get dedicated to dissension, and eventually one dedicated to ascension as well. Here's a rope bridge, and that heads from the restaurant to the casitas. Some of our staff, we have 22 on staff at the moment. Some people in the dining hall from open day. Here's some pictures just from what actually getting our hands dirty in the fields doing the permaculture looks like from a recent course that we had, where we had Porvenir Design and Sitio Semente come and offer their gifts on the land and help us transform the land from a degraded pasture into human productive environment and biologically diverse environment. Now, I mentioned in the video that we're using both old and very new technologies, and I think Sarah had something similar, if I'm not mistaken, but we're incorporating something called bareque here in Costa Rica, or in Europe, they call it wattle and daub as well, where it's just very, very simple materials. And we're building our compost toilet out of this. We built our office out of this. We have like a shower stall area that's built from this. And, you know, it's fantastic, actually. I think it's really beautiful and very easy to maintain, actually. Some other technology we're utilizing is something called rammed earth. So we're literally just taking the earth from where it is that we're at and using the materials on the site to create enclosed, wonderful living systems. So this is a picture of like one of the first concepts of our pods, where our homes will be sold, and this has a number of different technologies integrated into it. So one of them is rammed earth. One of them is the mud bricks. So we're actually just taking mud from where we're at, utilizing bricks. You can see there sort of on the left-hand side as well, that technology. And pods is a concept which I think is somewhat unique to Tierramor, where our nucleuses of like cohabitation are around 12 people. So that might be, three-bedroom homes or 6 studios and doubles, all surrounding shared infrastructure like a pool and hangout space and sometimes a kitchen as well. And we also have a relationship with an organization called GeoShip, which is creating domes. And so we have access to 15% of their initial production via that relationship. So I'm very excited about bringing them here, as they're fireproof, hurricane-proof, mold-proof, very, very energy efficient, and extremely, it feels really nice to actually to be inside one of these as well. So these will be available for sale in the units that we have for sale. Here's some pictures of the Maloka, which is, again, going to be at the top of the hill in the regenerative space, space for ceremony and for meditation and for yoga. And this is the Dissension Temple I mentioned, in the area that's going to be dedicated really to dissension. So it's really focused on connection with other. So this actually will be, when it's completed, the world's largest bamboo building, and designed by Ibuku and engineered by Atelier One. So I'm very excited to bring that into fruition. Here's a concept of what our school, which is dedicated to deliberate transformation, will look like for those under the age of 18, though I don't think education actually ends at 18. Certainly hasn't for me. And here's our charter. So this is actually not on the website yet, but we are going to have that likely in the next week or two up, so you can view it there. And that's it.
Oh, great. Were you going to mention a few things from the charter? We couldn't quite see it very large. I don't know if there's like a mission or a statement you want to read from it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll just speak briefly to the mission. The mission really is about deliberate transformation and awakening of humanity, and we really view Tierramor as an acupuncture point for that to happen, right? And the charter, which I'm happy to put back up on the screen if it serves, are sort of the social process and the code of like a North Star that we want to orient towards, such that we can serve that larger unfolding.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I love those structures you're planning, the bamboo, and just like, it looks fantastic. Everything you've done so far with the landscaping, but also the vision for the future on 500 acres. Wow, so cool. I really liked the pods concept. I think that's interesting. It reminds me a little bit of Damenher. They have nuclei, which are different, micro communities within the larger community. So it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. Yeah, so great. Fantastic. Thank you, Matt.
My
Folks, if
pleasure.
you have questions, please put them in the Q&A box just to help me stay organized if you can. And there was a question here. Looks like there was a lot of young people in the photos. Is this a community for all ages?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there's going to be many different ways to get involved in Tierramor. So we're actually having a community immersion coming up starting on Monday, which will be running all the way till the end of January. So it's like 1 week bits. You can come and visit and understand what it is that we're up to here and start to get to know us. So I'd invite you, if you're interested, to come and see us in that way. And yeah, we are building a school. We want to be multi-generational. We want to be a space where we're inclusive of many different strata, not only just of age, but also of where people are in their life, where they are in their journey, and what they have to offer at different points. So we'll have a large workforce, a large volunteer force, and we'll also have people who are renting anything from, say, 2 weeks per year for longer periods of time to 6 months per year, and then people who will also be homeowners.
Okay, great. Good. Yes, and you're getting a lot of appreciation from people in the comments. What you're doing is super exciting and inspiring. Where are you at now as far as current permanent residents, and what is your goal in that regard?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in terms of permanent residents, my family is the only one so far, and we are changing that in hopefully March or April of this coming year. We're going to break ground. So, and we hope to build 28 homes in total, of which will combine, like a number of different pods. So, and that will be like just adjacent to that hill that I showed that had the casitas and the temple at the top. So that will, like, the content will be sort of bridged by the retreat center that's happening and the people that are going to the daily content that's happening there.
Okay, great. And
Yeah.
I think I saw on your website that you are hiring or have positions available for volunteers. And then there's a question, is housing available for that staff?
Yes. So we are planning staff housing as well. We already have quite a bit of staff housing, actually, but we're planning a lot more. So I think we'll probably have up to 50 homes available just for staff. Yeah, because it's going to be at least 100 staff probably here eventually in the coming years. And yeah, anybody's welcome to apply as a volunteer. Everybody is welcome to apply as an employee. As I think Sarah was mentioning, there's challenges that go along with bringing anybody and everybody on board. But if it's the right fit, yeah, thank you, Sarah. We'd love to have you. basically.
Good. And a question here about the costs. Costs will be to buy a lot, to build a house, and you've already mentioned that there will be other ways, such as rental possibilities and some volunteer opportunities for applicants. But yeah, costs. Do you know that currently?
Yeah, so costs are, they're going to run anywhere from best guess is like, if you want to stay for just a week per year, it's going to be less than $1,000. And if you want to, if you want to own a home, it's going to be anywhere from probably 350,000 to over $1 million. Is most likely. I can see the question, so I'm happy to just jump right in the interest of time here, Cynthia.
Sure. We just have a few. Just be sure to say the question out loud so we know what it is for the audience.
Yeah, great. So the question is about the spiritual methodologies and what it is that we're, how we are thinking about growth, I think. And the way that we're looking at that is sort of like the analogy that I use is it's like Hogwarts for deliberate transformation. So we're not particularly tied to a certain, ideology, whether that's like an Osho community or whether that's like, Tamaran ideology or what have you. Like we want to be inclusive of a number of ideologies, and we want to welcome different viewpoints. And much like a university, some of those things are going to be at odds with each other. And I'm really hoping that we have fostered a social environment where we are being open and available for all of the polarity that comes with multiple ideologies coexisting in one place. And actually, one of the reasons why we have the three poles, why we have regeneration, ascension, and descension, you can think about those things. Well, ascension and descension really as like differing ideologies. Like one is really like, let's be in this life. Let's really be in and of all of form, right? And ascension is like, let's just let it go, So those two ideologies actually are headed ultimately in the same direction from like a traditionally tantric perspective, but how they actually show up in form is rather different, right? So having a place where those people feel home is really important to us. So there's a lot there. Happy to go into more there. And yes, pets are welcome for sure. That we'll have like an HOA that will be, specific to the membership space, which is the rental areas. There will also be like an HOA that's specific to the for sale space as well. And the guidelines are going to be up to the residents there. And Heather's asking about if there is a beach nearby. And yes, there is a beach not far. It's about 2 kilometers as the vultures I'm looking out on right now fly. So actually, I'll just show you guys. It's right here.
Nice. I like this part when the virtual tour becomes, wow, beautiful swimming pool. Wow, nice.
There's the vulture. I don't know if you can see it. But anyway, the vultures are there because there is a turtle sanctuary right down below, which is also a really great surf spot. So surfing, it's like world-class beginner spot right down the way, and many different beaches as well. And I think one of the largest turtle sanctuaries in the world is that's the beach that I just showed you. So
wow, great location.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, fantastic. All right. Well, thank you, Matt. I put the website in the chat. And I don't know if you want to add your own contact information there as well. But yeah, really great to have you. I think people are feeling really inspired by your presentation. So appreciate it. Good. All right. Yes. Exquisite, says Elise. Great. Well, we are coming into the final 10 minutes or so of our time together. Thank you, everyone who's been listening, for those wonderful questions. I really appreciate your engagement and like just joining us in this journey of learning more about these three communities, which are all international, but very, very different in many ways, very similar in other ways. It's interesting combination we have this time around. Feel free, if you have a question in mind that you think would be good to ask all of our panelists, really open to suggestions for what could be a good one. But yeah, I think it could be nice just to close out with a question for all of you to answer, and we can just go popcorn style, casual conversation. I'm wondering if, we've talked a little bit about this idea of visitors coming to your communities and some of the challenges around that, but also like wanting to stay welcome, wanting to stay inclusive. I wonder too, for people who are in the visiting, exploring membership phase, just in general, like what advice would you give a person in that stage? From your perspective of the person who's answering the emails, maybe like, what do you like to see? What can people do to prepare themselves to come visit your community? What kind of person might be a fit? Just anything you can offer, because I know a lot of our attendees, especially as we move towards the end of the year, they're beginning to envision, okay, what communities may I want to visit in 2024? All right, so any thoughts you have on that? And whoever wants to go first can just unmute and share.
Well, I can share something if no one else is. I too was in that position, and it's a wonderful position to be looking at all of these options. It's really that I love listening to the other communities because there's just so many cool things happening. And I love that IC brings us together so that we can share and learn things from one another. So I appreciate that. And from my experience living in co-housing and visiting many communities, I think one of the central first things to come to terms with is whether you want to live in an existing community that has already kind of had its time of formation, or whether you want to be part of a forming community. That's a really completely different experience. Having lived in a community that was completed and forming one now, and seeing a lot of the differences. I think Rains could speak to this much better than I could. But it's a very different experience, and it really just depends on where you are in your life and what you need. If you just need something now that's community, then I think going to a completed community makes a lot of sense. And you just simply look for what works for you. And Cynthia is a fantastic person to go to. If you're looking for something that you can shape yourself and be the, as I said, the author of your community, then a forming community might make more sense. And that person has to have a greater sense of depth and longevity for the creation of the community. So I would just say that the first thing I would have done is decide whether I wanted to just look out there for something that worked for me or create it. That's a huge different experience, right? You know that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. There is, a life cycle of a community from the beginning to the middle, yeah. And so it depends where you want to join. You'll have a very different experience. Yeah, good point. Great.
Well, I can come in and just share a little bit of my experience. I've traveled as a backpacker, and while I was backpacking, I didn't have any expectations. So and also while I was traveling in the different eco-villages, I didn't have any expectations. And I found that people that come visit or are looking for a community, one of the criteria they must take with them and bring is no expectation. And really look forward for an off the grid, because like it's the bare minimum. Don't expect some infrastructure that may not be there. So eco-villages, by definition, they are either transitioning or just starting from nothing, no infrastructure, and setting it up with their own hands. So it's servitude, humility, no expectations, and honesty, which is a value very difficult to unlearn in an environment where dishonesty has been the way of living. So I can just, bring that to the, house today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for those wise words. Appreciate it. Okay, Matt, anything to add?
Yeah, no, I actually was just saying that I think Pari and Sarah did a fantastic job of answering that. So I didn't have much to say about it. So
Okay.
yeah, thank you too.
Good. Well, at least we get to close with you on. Yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, thank you all so much again for taking the time to be here. Really appreciate the work that you're doing in your communities and your different corners of the world, and lovely to connect together and learn and share with each other. So thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thanks everyone who's listening.
Thank you.